Hello everyone, how are you today? Welcome to another interesting learning time with Blessing. Today we are going to be learning to construct and interpret food webs. In my previous video we learned about food chains. Today we are going to be learning about interpreting and constructing food webs. Come along, let's learn together. Let's find out what food webs are. Okay, before we proceed to finding out what food webs are, how can we describe the food chain above? I already discussed this with you in my previous video. So pause the video right now and describe the food chain above. Welcome back. I bet you are able to describe it because it's super easy. Okay, the first food chain shows us a three-lined food chain, while the second one shows us a four-lined or four-linked food chain. Now, we know that the corn here is the producer. We know that the rat here is the consumer, the primary consumer, and the owl here is the secondary consumer. And over here, the carrot here is the producer. Why are they called the producer, the corn, the carrot? Because they make their own food. They don't need anything or anyone to help them make their own food. They produce their own food through a process called photosynthesis. So the carrot is the producer, the rabbit is the primary consumer, the fox is the secondary consumer, and the lion is the tertiary consumer. Now, this food chain helps us see how each animal derive energy from one to the other. So the lion gets energy from the fox gets energy from the rabbit gets energy from the carrot. Okay, let's make progress. So, what is a food web? Do you have any idea what this might mean? Thinking about what we learned previously, food chain. What do you think a food web might mean? Let's find out together. Okay. In the wild, animals may eat more than one thing, so they belong to more than one food chain. To get the food they need, small herbivores may eat lots of different plants, and carnivores may eat many different animals. So in the wild, small herbivores, we know what herbivores are, right? Animals that eat only plants, like the grasshopper. Small herbivores may eat lots of different plants, and carnivores, these are meat eaters, animals that eat only flesh. They may eat many different animals to derive energy and to gain strength. Now, this is an example of a food web. For example, the hawk that ate the rabbit may also eat snake or lizard. This makes the hawk a part of two food chains or a food web. So a group of food chains interlocked together makes a food web. So this is an example here. When you look at the progression here, the grass is eaten by the grasshopper, eaten by the lizard, which is eaten by the hawk. This is a linear progression that shows us a food chain. Here again in the middle we have another food chain. We have the rabbit that eats the grass, that eats, and then the rabbit gets eaten by the hawk. This is another food chain. And finally, we have the mouse that eats the grass, and then the snake eats the mouse, and then finally the snake is eaten by the hawk. This is a compilation. This is a food web. A food web shows us an interconnectedness. It interconnects different food chains together to show what animals, different things that an animal can eat at different points in time. So a food chain shows us an animal eating more than one thing, so they belong to more than one food chain. I hope that is clear. A food web helps us understand what an animal eats, different things that an animal eats, lined up in an interconnection. Interpreting food webs. How are food webs similar or different to food chain? I bet you should have an idea already. A food chain is more of linear representation of a specific line of interaction within the greater food web. A food chain shows us just one line of progression, from the grass to the grasshopper um, to the rabbit or to the hawk. Okay, it shows us just one line of trend of what an animal eats, but a food web shows us an interconnection of different food chains. The food web gives us more information about what an animal eats. So that is basically the similarity and the difference between a food web and a food chain. Now, this is what I wanted, where I wanted to have a go. When would it be better to use a food chain? When I want you to think about this and come up with your own idea. When do you think it would be better to use a food chain? And when do you think it would be better to use a food web? Now, the task you're going to be doing today is this. Choose a sea creature. Remember, we've been learning about sea creatures. Choose a sea creature and create your own food web showing different meals, different animals, different plants, different interconnection of food chains pointing to one animal, what that animal eats at different points in time. Okay, when you're done doing this, give yourself a thumbs up and let me know how you felt about today's lesson. And this is me saying bye for now. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.